From the ABC St. Louis studios, this is the Allman Report.
And welcome to the Allman Report. Later on, I'm going to have my own review of these civilian review boards. But first, our big story. By now, you've heard about the City Hall brawl. But first, we have another twist for you. It was supposed to be a police oversight hearing, but it turned into a loud shoving match. And Allman reporter Aisha Khan was there. Aisha, had your camera rolling as soon as you heard a little bit of tumult going on.
Yeah, well, if my microphone picked up on my camera, you probably would hear how fast my heart was pounding because everything happened so fast and I thought I was going to get trampled, but tensions and emotions were high to begin with as soon as people started entering City Hall regarding this police oversight hearing. So for nearly an hour before the showdown, people took the podium telling the aldermen why they were for or even against the Civilian Review Board. Take a listen.
I don't think everyone needs to be highly educated to be a part of that board. But I think it's very necessary. We want to see St. Louis go to a next level.
We need to get past the us versus them issue. This is a we issue. We need to protect our communities.
All right, so during that time is when Jeff Roorda of the St. Louis Police Officer Association is heard from the back of the room asking the chairman to call for order.
Come on, Mr. Chairman, how about some order here, huh?
So after this whole thing went down, I ran over to Alderman Antonio French to get his take on how things quickly got so heated.
I think what it reflects is that tempers are still high and that we still have a lot of divisions in our community. And I think what you saw tonight was yet another indication of just how serious the divisions are in our city.
Clearly, this isn't over as far as the Citizens Oversight Committee debate is concerned, Jamie. This is still a topic that's continuing to linger in the air, so it's going to come back.
Well, it's great there wasn't more violence, but I guess it pays to have a lot of police on hand.
Right?
No doubt about it.
I feel like they kind of outnumber the crowd there. So.
Indeed. All right, Aisha Khan, thank you very much. Jeff Roorda, you were there. You were kind of at the center of it all, Police Officer Association, and there are people who were calling for your arrest after all this based on some alleged assault of one of the people who showed up at the hearings. Now, we've got actual tape, and it basically clearly shows that this woman who was in question, when you were standing and trying to move past an aisle, she clearly got up and elbowed you. Is that your recollection?
That's right, yeah, and there was some foot stomping and kicking going on, and I mean, you can see her move over from a distance to get between me and the corridor there. I mean, she was clearly spoiling for some sort of confrontation.
So it's really good, I guess, to make sure we have some video of the incident, because basically the story we were getting from some of the people there was that Jeff Roorda attacked some of these poor people there, when the fact of the matter is you were attacked. Now, part of this started because you wanted some order there.
That's right.
There were 35 people who spoke before the police officers did, some of them speaking and saying this Civilian Review Board idea wasn't hardcore enough.
Right.
Then the cops came up, and then they were shouted down.
That's right, yeah, we were respectful. We heard, sat quietly and listened to what the anti-police elements in the room had to say, and then when our officers got up, the guys that keep our streets safe every night, dodge bullets every night, they were shown no respect. There was no semblance of order. They weren't allowed to give their testimony, and it was a real shame, and especially when we're supposed to trust this same system to provide us with a fair and just oversight process.
Yeah, because there's some expectation that when it comes to a Civilian Review Board, that police would get a fair hearing. But these were civilians at this hearing who were shouting down police officers.
Some of whom I'm sure would be nominated to be on this board, yeah.
It's interesting, too. I know you're wearing a, let me see your wrist there. You're wearing a wristband that says, "I am Darren Wilson."
Yes.
There were some individuals who saw that, considered that to be inciting. And here's another example of a double standard. It feels like people can wear F the police shirts, but Jeff Roorda can't wear a wristband that says, "I am Darren Wilson."
Yeah, and Jamie, I didn't wear this to incite anything. I've worn it every day to work since the Department of Justice told my police officers they weren't allowed to wear it to work.
I interviewed you earlier in the week, and you had that on.
Right. And this is the same mindset that says that by showing up in protective gear, the police provoked violence, and that justified violence. It's the same thing we heard last night, that this expression of free speech, peaceful expression, by the way, somehow provokes and incites violence.
So where do we go from here, you think? I mean, is this something that creates a bad mark on the whole process, or do you think this is just something that would be expected? Do you expect more of this kind of confrontation? Because you got to be able to have a hearing without people hitting each other.
Right. Yeah, I agreed. And that's on the chairman to maintain order in his committee hearing, and that didn't happen last night, and that was too bad. We're going to continue to speak up for police officers and demand that they get treated fairly and justly and with respect. And that's all we're asking for. We're not saying we're against the Civilian Oversight Board, but we want it to be impartial and fair.
Let's go to the whole setup to begin with. Do you think it seemed like this was all seemingly orchestrated? I mean, there were some decent people who I think have credibility who were up there talking about their desire for a civilian review board. I get all that. Right. But eventually it seemed like things just weren't tumultuous enough for some people, and there was almost a sense that there was they're creating a fight. Right. We did invite Alderman Kennedy onto the show. He did not respond to our request, and so we wanted to talk to him about it. But it seemed like he got his back up the minute you asked for order, because he was letting people just shout these cops down and not getting involved.
I was the only person that was gavelled down last night after some outrageous behavior.
So you were the only person gavelled down. You mean even after people were talking over some of the police officers, they were not gavelled?
That's right.
And you were?
I was.
All right. Have you had a conversation with anybody today in the aftermath of this from the Board of Aldermen?
I talked to President Reed this morning. I talked to Alderman Kennedy this morning. We're committed to staying at the table and having mature conversations, but that's not what we had last night.
All right. Jeff Roorda, Police Officers Association of St. Louis, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Jamie.
Okay, it's Jeff Roorda.